Good morning and welcome to Diary of a Disabled, Getting to Know Me. So, this edition of Getting to Know Me, I just want to talk about my Navy years. So, I originally joined the Navy when I was 18 years old in the year 2001 in February. So, this was before September 11th happened. I joined when I was 20 years old, February. Oh man, what was the date? February 21st? I'm forgetting already. Gosh, it's been over 24 years. 23 years, sorry. Bad math on top of my head. So I originally was still living with my parents at 18, 19, 20 years old. I graduated high school at 18 in 1998. And so I just worked odd jobs, basically doing security officer work. I was a security officer. I worked at Subway. I worked two jobs. I tried going to college. I paid out of pocket for a couple college classes, and I ultimately just stopped going because Subway kept scheduling me during the hours I had classes. And of course, I'm like, well, it can happen once or twice, but no, it happened every time. So I eventually just kind of stopped going. I didn't officially drop anything, which eventually turned around and bit me in the butt later. It really affected my GPA. So let me tell you, don't be me and don't do what I did and pay for classes and just stop going and just don't officially drop classes because it will hit you with your GPA. If you ever decide to go in college, ever, no matter how much time passes, that mofo will stick on your academic record forever. Forever. So I really couldn't afford to live on my own. I was paying all my own bills, my car insurance, this and that, and just even working two jobs trying to go to college. I wasn't getting anywhere in life. I just wasn't. And I'm like, I am not going to be 40 years old living with my mom and dad. Boy, did things come full circle, and I end up living with my parents at 40 years old. At least I experienced life in between that, though, and I do not regret my choice of joining the Navy whatsoever. I planned on making a career. Honestly, I wasn't sure what I really wanted to do when I originally joined, except for I wanted to get into journalism. I always had dreams of being an actress. I wanted to be an actress growing up until one day I found out how it was not really just easy and handed over to people. And my mom crushed my dreams of ever wanting to be an actress, so there went my self-esteem for a long time because I felt like I would do very well with being an actress because I had such an easy time masking with my ADHD growing up. I'm like, this is easy. This is easy to mask myself and try to fit in and learn what emotions are and yeah. Ultimately, no. But yeah, that was my original career choice. And then I also tried taking acting classes in middle school and high school, and I just didn't have the self-confidence to really just keep going with it, honestly. Like, my mom really did some damage when I had a conversation with her one day when we talked about it, and I don't know why I let my mom's opinion really affect me, but it really did. It affected my career choices moving forward because I'm like, well, okay, I guess my mom's right. It's just not going to happen for me. So I just kind of cruised through life, just not like, what am I going to do with myself when I was 20 years old? I was like, I knew I was different. I just didn't know how. Now to find out, I'm ADHD. I'm on the spectrum, and I'm totally okay with that. But I'm getting sidetracked here. My Navy story. So since I wasn't getting anywhere in life, I just couldn't get enough money to live on my own. The cost of living was still kind of crappy for me at 18, 19, 20 years old. And I was just working a customer service job, and I just realized I just couldn't make it in the world. And my mom and dad didn't have that struggle. And so they didn't know how to help me or my brother because they made too much money. My dad worked for the post office, so he made decent money. He worked for the government, so he had good, medical insurance. We were basically blue collar growing up, and blue collar is middle class, and middle class just makes too much money for any assistance. And so me living in their house, it affected my income And so it affected me getting financial aid. And so me and my brother were effed on getting any college assistance with money. And I couldn't get financial aid because my parents made enough money to send us to college according to the government, but they didn't. And so I've only seen this exacerbated with today's society, and the cost of living is just ridiculous. The economics were crappy when I joined the military, and that was the reason I wanted to stay in the military, is because job security, come on, hello. I also had lots of job turnover, high turnover rate between the years of age 16 or 15. I started work at 15 with a worker's permit at Dunkin' Donuts. I had multiple jobs, and I also had time management issues with being anywhere on time. I couldn't get to sleep at night. I had sleeping issues. And so I stayed up half the night, and then I couldn't get up in the morning for school. And so I had to get dragged out of bed, literally dragged out of bed by my dad, because he was my ride to school on his way to work. And so I would literally get pulled out of bed, and I was just like, nah, a comfy bed, sheets, blankets, warmth, cold, no. So that was me growing up. And so I had time management issues because of sleep issues, because of medical issues that were underlying that I had no clue exactly what they were, but I knew something was going on. But hey, I passed the physical for the Navy, so I'm like, I can't be that messed up, right? Right? Yeah. I was on a waiver or two, but not for medical things. I honestly, I didn't know how bad I was messed up with my genetics until my environment in the military turned on some of my genetics because of certain vaccines. And I'm not trying to make this political. I'm not going to talk about vaccines or anti-vax or anything like that. It's just I was forced to get some vaccines, and I don't think they worked well with my body personally, with my genetics, and it was the right environment for things to go wrong. That's all it was. My body was just the right environment for things to go wrong. Thank you, EDS, underlying, and Chiari malformation, and spina bifida that I was born with. All of those things are things that run along with each other. My nose itches. But I didn't find any of this out until it got me discharged from the military. So let me backtrack here, though. Talking fast and back and forth between beginning and end here. But I joined the Navy because I didn't have any money to live on my own, and I really did want to see the world. And I'd like to say I did it for serving our country, but I really didn't like our country as much. I love our country. Don't get me wrong. Now I'm glad I served. I am more patriotic than I've ever been, because I was definitely not patriotic before I joined. I actually really shocked a lot of people when I joined the military. They're like, "What? Jenna joined? What? That's not you. What? It's not me. It's really not me. It seems like a completely different me, especially from what I was in my young adult life to now. I'm feeling more like I am getting back to who I am. The military definitely sidetracked who I am, and I did get to see the world, and I got a lot of good experiences. So anyways, I went to boot camp in February 2001, and boy, was it tough. It was cold. It was Great Lakes, Illinois. Great Mistakes is what we say. Great Mistakes, Illinois. And right after graduation of boot camp, my parents came out to see me graduate boot camp, and I went to Six Flags there. It was awesome. I love roller coasters and theme parks, and we just don't have that kind of thing here in Oregon. We just don't. The closest we got is Enchanted Forest, and which I also worked at for one summer. It was an amazing job, a good experience when I was 15 years old before I got my job at Dunkin' Donuts. It was awesome. So I worked there, and then I did lots of odd jobs. I worked at Santa Fe Burrito, a fast food company, and then at Nachos Restaurant, which is the parent company that made a restaurant version of the fast food that I served for 2 years. I worked at Santa Fe Burrito for 2 years, and I got fired. Won't even talk about that. So anyway, I just jumped around from job to job until I joined the Navy, and then I hung out in the Navy for 9 years. I signed up to be electronic intelligence, so military intelligence, a words that shouldn't go together. Yes, I can make fun of it. I worked in it, all right. But it does take a special, unique person to be able to work in that field. And I definitely had those qualities that stuck out during my ASVAB that were like, boom, you should be an analyst of some sort. But I really sucked at math, but I really scored high and above average in lots of parts because of my ADHD and my pattern recognition. And it really makes good for analysts. It really does, having ADHD, because we have the focus to be able to recognize patterns, and we just see things differently. We think out of the box, and that's what it takes to be an analyst at times. It really does. Because a lot of us analysts in the military that do any kind of intelligence work, we're going to look a little different from the average Navy population or military population, for sure. I really enjoyed my 9 years of service. I did really, really well, besides in math, which in order to adjust for that, I went to 8 weeks of math and learned all the way up to trigonometry within 8 weeks with the military. And that upped my math skills to be able to get through A school, which included some trigonometry. I learned about satellites, orbits, different kind of things in the sky. And my job really did relate to some really good jobs outside the military. And I could have got bank outside the military doing the same thing I did in the Navy. So I was trying to be smart about it and do a job that I could get a job that relates to civilian stuff. And I always knew that technology was the way to go. And so that's why I chose that job field. I had, at the time that I signed up, it was a Navy College Fund that I signed up for. I got $40,000 in Navy College Fund, which I never intended to use because I was going to do a full career in the Navy, a full 20 years, 25 years, whatever. And then maybe try to do graphic design after that, because that was my backup choice, was working in animation or video game design or animation movies. I just didn't have the artistic talent, which I found in high school. I just didn't have the artistic ability to do that kind of stuff, at least with my hand. And pulling fresh images from my mind, I don't have that natural talent. I know if I probably worked on it like my entire life, I could probably be okay at it, but I just don't have that natural artistic ability that I know some of my friends have. And I'm like, oh, I wish I had that. I wish I had what you had with the artistic ability to pull things from your mind and get it on paper and like make it look fabulous. Me, I'm good at copycat. I'm good at copycat things. I recognize patterns, and I'm really good at repeating back and doing what I need to do to get things done, whether I like it or not. And that was my uncanny ability in the military, is like I thrived on a routine. And so the routine was really great for my ADHD. So it was, it's kind of a catch-22. I hate to get interrupted in the middle of my hyper-focus and special interests and stuff. And everything in the military that I learned was special interest, because I'm like, I just want to make the most money possible. So I'm going to work hard. And I was taught, the skills growing up, if I work hard, it's going to pay off. And so that's the kind of mentality I had. And even being on the ship, people are like, why are you always smiling? Like, how can you? And it was just my ability to mask. It was my ability to mask with my smile. And, and I'll also thinking positive helped me a long way, instead of being miserable like a lot of people in the military are. Because it's not desirable to be away from your family and everything you love and own and have to work 24 hours nonstop, 24/7, get no sleep, lack of sleep, getting interrupted for drills, this and that. It's not desirable at all by any means. It's like a floating prison being on a ship. I did 4 years on a ship out of Norfolk, Virginia. Norfolk, Norfolk, Virginia is how I pronounce it. But yeah, I was on a ship for 4 years. My first duty station was Denver, Colorado, where I met my best friend Amy, that lives in Las Vegas now, who's chronically sick. It was my first interaction with somebody that was chronically sick like that. I met her at a bar. I met my best friend at a bar. And we honestly, to this day, cannot remember exactly what sparked us to talk to each other, our conversation, what got us to talk and be friends. We don't even know. Like, it's just been so long. I really can't remember the day I met her. I just remember we were drinking a lot, and we drank a lot all the time regularly. And in the Navy, in my first duty station when I was a little E4, E3, E4, I worked 3 jobs total. I worked my Navy job, 12-hour shifts. I bartended at a bar in Denver on the weekends that I didn't work because I worked shift work, 12-hour shifts. So I really don't know. It blows my mind what I did in the Navy. So I was in the Navy working a shore duty in Denver, Colorado, and all the locals were like, Navy? There's a Navy down here. It's an Air Force base. I worked at Joint Commands with my intelligence job, and I worked with all branches. I worked with the NSA. I worked with I got introduced to some CIA folks. It was weird walking around underground. And like 3 checkpoint security points to get in. I don't know. I don't even know. I'm just pulling a number off the top of my head. It's a ridiculous amount of checkpoints in order to get into the facility because of the classified material that we work with regularly on a daily basis. And so we are not to tell people what we do in the area. So I like to come up with stories about why the Navy's in Denver, Colorado. And one of my favorites was a sub is in the lake. And they're like, what? There is? Huh? I'm like, no, I'm just messing with you. If I told you, I'd have to off you because I can't talk about my secrets in the government. I didn't even get to know any good secrets. So seriously, I wish I would have worked at like Area 51 or something because that would have been cool. I would have liked to have known some of the cool classified material. But I worked in electronic intelligence, like radio frequency kind of things. And I had to memorize a lot of stuff so I could recognize it when I saw it when I was on my ship, so I could be the ship's first defense system. So bouncing back to Denver, I worked at Denver for 2 years for my first duty station, and I bartended part-time, and then I also worked at Victoria's Secret Lingerie part-time at the mall. So I worked 3 jobs. I worked 12-hour shifts with the Navy. I worked at Victoria's Secret at the mall, and some evenings that I didn't work my 12-hour shifts, and then I also bartended. So daytime Victoria's Secret, nighttime bartend, 12-hour shift work between nights and days from 6 at night till 6 in the morning. Then every other weekend we switched to from 6 at night, 6 in the morning to 6 in the morning to 6 at night. And so that was the kind of schedule I had to run doing shift work, and I worked 3 jobs when I was just 20 years old, 21. By the time I got to my first duty station in Denver, I was 21. 9 days after boot camp, I turned 21. I was restricted to base. I did not have a 21st birthday. I did not get to stay out. I didn't get to do anything for my 21st, except for I bought 1 thing of liquor, went back to my barracks room, got drunk, and then got drunk on base, and passed out, basically. I got drunk and passed out. That was my 21st. I didn't hang out with that many people. I didn't get a chance to. I was restricted to base, and I didn't really know anybody within 9 days of hanging out after boot camp to really go do anything fun. I made up for it my 22nd birthday when I was in Denver. I took basically a month off. I had saved up my leave so I could take a road trip with my mom and dad and aunt and uncle, and they drove all my stuff out to move me out to Denver, Colorado off of base. Because I moved up in rank pretty fast, so I was eligible to move out on base at my first duty station at E4. And so I did that for 2 years, went back to Pensacola, Florida, where my school was. So boot camp, Pensacola, Florida for my A school for my intelligence training. Then I went to Denver, Colorado. Then I went back to Pensacola, Florida for more training because I was going on a ship for 4 years. So I went from Oregon, where I lived, to Illinois, to Florida, to Denver, Colorado, to Norfolk, Virginia, or Pensacola, Florida, then Norfolk, Virginia. So I did that for a while. Then my ship, I did 2 deployments to the Persian Gulf, and then I did 3-month in the Mediterranean or Baltic Sea with we played war games with our NATO countries. My strike group got chosen to participate during it. The people that do the best workups, or we score so much in certain categories in order to be qualified and eligible to go play these war games. And so a different ship is picked every single year, or a different strike group is picked every year. We were lucky to get picked for one of the 4 years stationed on my ship. It just worked out with the ship's cycle and with our schedule, and worked out with all our great scores that we did to keep my ship war ready. And so we were ready to go at all times. And it was training, and more training when we were even on mission. We were training, and doing more training. So we would never miss a beat if we were to get attacked at any point. Any, workups off the coast, anywhere. It can happen anywhere. It doesn't matter. That's why we have forward presence in the Navy. I couldn't talk about my ship's schedule, and being on a ship is like a floating prison. You're out. I've missed 4 years of my life because I was never really in port. I didn't have time for anything. I couldn't work 3 jobs like I did on shore duty. Working on a ship is like working 4 jobs nonstop, or 5 jobs even. Like, it's ridiculous how much work we do on a ship. A lot of work goes into it, and I can't wait to ever go on a regular cruise and not have to work and actually be on a boat and see the world, parts of the world. I do want to do that someday, hopefully still. And then, so after my 4 years on my ship and doing the deployment thing to the Persian Gulf twice and seeing Bahrain, seeing lots of countries, I took tours all over the place. I went to Germany, Poland, Sweden, Denmark, Malta, Italy, and Bahrain. I've been to Dubai. I've been to the Caribbean once. It was my first port visit too. Actually, I got so drunk, I got carried back to the ship and broke a lady's toe getting carried back to the ship. Oh, that lady was mad. She was an avid workout runner, and she was mad I broke her toe. I felt really bad. I didn't even know until the next day. And yeah, she told me. I'm like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was blackout drunk. I don't even know. I don't remember. So, anyway, that was basically all the places I've been on my ship. I went to the European countries over the Asian countries because that's just, I learned in the Navy. If you're stationed on the East Coast, you see Europe and go to the Persian Gulf. But if you're stationed on the West Coast on the ship, you go see Japan and all the Asian countries, Australia, whatever they go see. And they usually do the equator crossing, and I didn't get across the equator. We were so close. We were like within 60 miles too. But we got called off mission to go blow up Obama, and we were sitting off the coast of South Africa waiting to blow up the mountains for a long time, and we never got the chance. We got detoured, and I'm like, that's BS, man. I wanted to, selfish reasons, I wanted to go over the equator and do the whole ceremony. It would have been awesome. So I got a shell back. I'm really disappointed I never got that chance, but it is what it is. My body didn't hold up long enough for it because I was up for sea duty next. So anyways, after my ship, I went back to Pensacola, Florida for a third time. Third time's a charm. I went and got lots of training on my job. This time I actually got an NEC designator to be able to get me a bigger re-enlistment bonus. So I got to learn even more about my job, and it was awesome. And then after Florida, I went to Hawaii. Oh, poor me. It was the best duty station ever. It was the best. I loved it. I loved it more than anywhere. People talked about having island fever and getting bored and stuck, just feeling like anxious and stuff by being there for a long time. I'm like, what? How can you get tired of the beach? Like, I don't know. I love the ocean still. I love Hawaii still. Oahu's not the best island. I think the other ones are better, but it's just because Oahu's is overpopulated. It's just too many people. And they definitely go at a slower pace. And there is only like 3 highways on that island and non-stop traffic. I think it was worse than the freaking bridge tunnel in Chesapeake to Newport News in Virginia. I think it's worse than that traffic. But that traffic's pretty bad too. They're just faster and crazier in the East Coast than they are in Hawaii. They're just slow and just don't have anywhere to be, except for their 3 or 4 jobs in order to live there. Because it's expensive in Hawaii. My groceries were ridiculous. My groceries cost as much as it does now for groceries on the mainland here now. I can't imagine what they're dealing with price range out in Hawaii now. Like, I bet it's even worse now than it was when I was there because of the cost of living. So, anyways, Yeah, this is a long video. It's just getting to know me. I spent a lot of time in the Navy. I've been to a lot of places around the world. It totally doesn't seem like it. It seems like a lifetime ago. It seems like a different, I don't know, just a different life. Compared to my disabled butt now that doesn't get to go anywhere and is in bed half the time. Like, I've been all over the world and I don't regret any of it. None. I love the Navy. I am so patriotic now. I know how our government works, and I don't care to watch the news very frequently, and I don't care to follow up on it. And I understand the whole voting thing, and everybody's vote matters, but it doesn't. The electoral college just it doesn't help me any. Uh, I'd like to say I do vote, but I kind of gave up on it just because I really don't follow the politics, and I don't really want my vote to count towards the wrong thing. I'd rather it not count than go towards the wrong thing. That's just my opinion. That's just me. I don't expect any of you to have the same opinion. I like that everybody has different opinions. Just don't dog me on it, please. I know how the government works. I worked for them. I know the ins and outs of a lot of things. I had to run a budget for the government. I know how they run. And I'll just leave it at that. I don't care. I just want to live my life and enjoy the rest of my life. I don't want to be uptight and mad about politics. Like, a lot of people that get into politics just are mad people, and I don't know, they don't enjoy life. I would rather enjoy life and say ignorance is bliss, really. I am already hyper vigilant enough because of my medical PTSD I've experienced with the VA. I don't want to live in fear anymore. I'm not going to live in fear. The government has me. They already know everything about me, pretty much. Like, if they really wanted to, get after me, they would. I'm not going to try and do anything to provoke them or poke them. No, I don't. No, sorry. I don't know anything. I want to be happy, and the news is usually about bad stuff, so I watch the news with a grain of salt, and I do pay attention. I do watch things. I do like to know what's going on occasionally, and I do check in. It's just, it is what it is. I loved my Navy time. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It sucks that I'm disabled now, and the reason I got out is because I got injured. I was in Hawaii at my duty station. I was running command PT, and pain just started shooting down my back every step I took at my high impact running. Every step. Every step I took, it was like, pow, shoot, down my pain. Boom, down my back pain. Boom, down my back pain. And every time I walked, it wasn't painful. It wasn't painful like it was. I'd go to start running again. Zing, zing, zing. I'm like, ow, what is going on? So, ever since that day that happened, I was in almost pain nonstop. I couldn't sit at my desk. I couldn't do my job. Sitting hurt if I did it for any minute longer than like a minute. And it did start affecting me just walking. It was just nonstop chronic pain. It started off as not chronic. And the Navy just did everything they could. The military did everything they could treatment-wise for 2 years. And I just wasn't improving. I just wasn't getting anywhere with my pain. And the Navy was doing a big push about participating in the physical fitness exam. That's every 6 months, regardless of what you're doing. You have to take this test. You have to run 1.5 miles and do so many sit-ups and so many push-ups for your age and your freaking height. And I was waived from it for 2 years straight. So I had missed 4 of them, and they were saying that people are looking crappy in uniform, and so they were doing a big push of people that not doing PT tests. They were kicking out of the military. Like, we don't want fat people to represent our military, so if you don't look fit, or if you are getting waived for PT tests that you're supposed to take regularly as part of your contract, bye. See you later. Kick you out. We aren't keeping people that are looking fat, but I wasn't looking fat. I've never really been big, except for when I was on my ship. I actually was really fat on my ship. Fat for me. I was up to 160 pounds, and I was just like more round face, like when I have my edema. I'm partially edema right now. My face is quite puffy. It's probably all the inflammation from all the adjustment. But yeah, I just started getting pain. They tried chiropractic. I did physical therapy every 3 days a week. They had to take me off of my 12-hour shift work to work day shift hours, and I managed a section in my on the watch floor. I worked underneath a pineapple field underground in a tunnel that was a quarter-mile long. And it was quite the trick to go smoke a cigarette and have cigarette breaks because working underground and being the thousands, or 20. There's around 2008 and 2010 that I worked in Hawaii. And it was quite the experience, though. I mean, that long walk from the parking lot into the freaking building wasn't even as bad as Denver. Denver was like easy compared to this. Like Hawaii was really hard to get into my workspace. You definitely have to show up early just so you can get parking and get walking down that damn tunnel, and try not to get caught by taps or the morning reveille. Or morning colors, I should say, at sunrise. So yeah, I was always catching colors at some point, and if I was running late, colors always happened when I was running late. So then I had to stop and salute forever. But it did really give me pride when I had to stop and salute the flag. It really did bring my patriotism to the next level, being forced to do that regularly. I respect the flag. What can I say? I respect the government, and I respect. I don't fully respect the government. Mumble. But it was great. It was great to have that experience, to have gone through what I have with the military. I'm really bummed. I had a love-hate relationship with my discharge because I have a medical discharge is honorable. I have an honorable discharge. Medically waived or medically discharged. My body gave up on me. I'm pretty sure it was my EDS that my connective tissue decided to let loose, and my Chiari took full force and dropped down in the back of my skull. That's why the pain was shooting down from the back of my skull, down my spine. Because my EDS finally had enough with the heavy, intense exercise I kept putting it through. I used to run 5 miles. I used to run 5 miles in an hour. And I used to do it regularly. And then to go from being physically fit to being full-on disabled has been really difficult. Let alone the adjustment from military to civilian life is also an adjustment. I don't care who you are. You can say you don't have that adjustment period, but you do. It is a major adjustment, and some people just don't realize how major it is. It is major switching back from military, where you have no decision-making skills. You're told what to do. You have a routine, and it's really set up for people to just be sheep. It really is. You're all treated the same in the military, except for your rank. You're treated the same as the rank that you are in. So if you're low rank, you're going to be doing all the jobs. If you're high rank, you're going to do all the paperwork and do barely any jobs. And the military is great for do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. Like leadership kind of mentality. Do as I say, not as I do. Because all higher ups, all they do is paperwork. That is all I did. Is the more higher up in rank I got, the more paperwork I did and the less actual job I did. And now they say why? Well, why do people like officers in the military get no respect? Because officers usually go straight from college into the military and they have no military experience. And so these officers, yeah, they're higher ranking, and we are supposed to respect our officers because they got a college degree, so they're smarter than us, even though they didn't have to do the actual work. They get told how we do the work. So it's the best leadership to say, do as I say, not as I do kind of thing, because they don't know how it really is unless you're a chief or an officer. Those are the officers that us enlisted really respect over regular officers. Just an FYI. That's how it really is in the lower ranks. Enlisted. We didn't get a college degree, or some of us enlisted did, but chose not to go the officer route because we don't want the disrespect that they usually get. Because they don't know how to do the real work and be the underdog and be the middle class, just like the rich people and the politicians do. So that's the military in a nutshell, just like our government. Do as I say, not as I do. So yeah, that is what I think of the military. I loved it, even though I don't like to be a sheep. I like to start trends. I don't like to follow things. I'm not a follower. Usually when something is trendy, that's usually by the time I'm bored with it because I've already dealt with it. Because I'm usually ahead of the trends for the most part. I can see patterns and I can tell when something's going to happen. Just like I knew that 90s were going to be coming back after the 80s. I mean, the 80s were big for like a good 20 years. Like the last 20 years is like retro 80s, retro 80s. Now it's retro 90s time. Because Gen X are now getting to be that age. That's right. I am the very last year for Gen X, 1980. A lot of people will disagree with that, but that is what I believe, and that's what I go by. I'm just I'm kind of in between. But I identify more with Gen X. But I did stick around, you know. I was there for the early 80s and the technology. I used to be in chat rooms. I used to be on AOL. I used to be age 6 location person in a chat room in the forum. Yeah, I was one of those people. But, yeah. I've always been around technology, so I felt like it was only natural to do that in the military. And then, so after I got out of the military and tried to decide what to do, I spent 2 years just trying to figure out, why am I disabled? Why am I disabled? And I really didn't figure it out for at least a good 8 years after I got out of the military. Oh, I have EDS. Oh, I have Chiari. I have Hashimoto's. I have lupus. I have POTS. I have mast cell activation. I have some weird metabolic thing going on. I have a long laundry list of things. That's all the physical stuff. And then I have the mental stuff. I have the medical PTSD, the anxiety, seasonal depression, because I like to travel and be out and about. And it devastates me having to be stuck indoors all the damn time. But I'm still happy because I'm alive and I'm able to do things, and things could definitely be a lot worse. I could be in a third world country and not have a roof over my head. I could be eating mud or bugs for, whatever. Things could always be worse. Not that I want things to get worse, but things could always be worse. And I couldn't be this comfy, in other places. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful what I've experienced. It's only made me grow as a person and learn and just try to inspire others. Do what you want to do. Don't listen to others. I did for a long time, the government, and now I'm just fully disabled. So take that with what you will. Take that with what you will. Anyways, I hope you all stuck around to the end of this video. Please like and subscribe so I can get more in the algorithm. And I'm going to just keep posting daily updates as much as possible. And yeah, I hope everybody else has a fantastic Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of the week. And be kind, be yourself. No one slays alone. Not even me. We all need a friend. Bye.